Year 1989. British intelligence has maximized its work and contacts with representatives of the intellectual elite in the Eastern Bloc states in order to intensify the collection of information. Back in 1987, foreseeing the collapse of the German Democratic Republic, the leadership of the secret services in London actualized the task of spreading Western ideas and introducing them into the social system in the GDR. By the beginning of 1989, Vladimir Putin had almost completed the task of Harald Schein to transfer the dossier on the members of the German left-wing radical terrorist organization Red Army faction. During the period of cooperation with the special services, he photographed more than 200 dossiers, including archival ones, on current members of this organization. This made it possible for police officers of European countries to bring in the 90s to justice many members of the Red Army faction. On March 29, 1989, the head of the Dresden District Directorate of the Ministry of State Security, the Stasi or BEN, submitted a report to Vladimir Putin's direct superior, General Shurkov, in which he accused his subordinates of trying to recruit officers of the armed forces of the GDR. BEN considered it necessary to arrest Vladimir Putin on charges of obtaining information constituting a military secret of the GDR. However, intelligence officers, having learned about the danger threatening Putin, warned him and also recommended that he temporarily stop collecting data on the Stasi. At the same time, through his contacts in BEN's entourage, British intelligence officers dissuaded him from intending to arrest the KGB officer, which allowed Vladimir Putin to avoid the threat of being imprisoned in the German Democratic Republic. And from that moment on, the friendship between Harald Schein and Vladimir Putin became even stronger. In the summer of 1989, Vladimir Putin was awarded a bronze medal for outstanding services to the National People's Army of the GDR, which put an end to the possible indictment of the lieutenant colonel of the KGB of the USSR and marked the fact of complete reconciliation of the parties. On September 4, 1989, mass protests of citizens began in the GDR, which were of a peaceful nature. The protesters demanded a change in the political leadership of the country and the democratization of public life. The protest movement that began in Leipzig was joined by Dresden, Karl-Marx-Stadt, Magdeburg, Arnstadt, Raster, and Potsdam. Dresden was one of many East German cities whose inhabitants, participating in the peaceful revolution movement, led to the opening of the borders between East and West Germany, the collapse of the Berlin Wall, and the reunification of Germany. On December 5, 1989, in Dresden, just a few weeks after the fall of the Berlin Wall, East German communism is dying and popular power seems invincible. Mobs of people stormed the Dresden headquarters of the Stasi, which proved unable to defend itself. At this time, a small group of demonstrators heads across the street to a small house, which was the office of the KGB of the USSR. Vladimir Putin, at the gate of the building, was able to convince the demonstrators not to break into the KGB premises and move away from the building.
Толпа, она, конечно, есть толпа. Никакой ругани не было. Я просто старался объяснить, кто мы такие и почему мы не можем допустить никакого осмотра.
The 39-year-old lieutenant colonel understood how dangerous the situation was and called the headquarters of the Red Army Tank Division with a request for protection. But the answer he received was crushing for him.
Без распоряжения Москвы ничего сделать не можем, а Москва молчит.
Вряд ли кто-то мог себе представить, что ситуация будет разворачиваться именно таким образом.
On the eve of the Christmas holidays, Vladimir Putin meets with a British intelligence officer and learns that both the German Democratic Republic and the USSR will cease to exist in the near future. And since Vladimir Putin's term in the GDR was coming to an end, he was offered a job in the Soviet Union. Methods of communication were discussed with the KGB officer, and the name of Georgy Palkin was also mentioned, through which contact with the British intelligence service would be maintained. At the beginning of 1990, Vladimir Putin returned to the USSR, where he continued to serve in the First Department of the Leningrad Directorate of the KGB of the USSR. In April, he was appointed to an undercover position assistant to the rector of the Leningrad State Zhdanov University, and in May he became an advisor to the chairman of the Leningrad City Council. Having information from Harold Schein about the imminent collapse of the USSR, Vladimir Putin decides to write a report on his dismissal, in order to finally get access to the funds in Deutsche Bank received from British intelligence. However, the leadership of the KGB does not accept Vladimir Putin's report.
Знаете, нет одинаковых отпечатков пальцев. Каждый человек отличается от другого не только отпечатками пальцев, но своим восприятием мира. Каждый человек — это отдельный мир. И поэтому у каждого из нас, безусловно, свое понимание счастья. Но вот для меня сегодня это, безусловно, возможность формулировать большие задачи, цели, возможность добиваться этих целей, идти к этим целям. И должен сказать, что когда мне удается добиваться того, к чему я иду, и несмотря ни на какие сложности, добиваюсь этого результата, это приносит мне удовлетворение.